Today we're discussing 2001: A Space Odyssey because it might just be one of the greatest movies of all time. The influence of 2001: A Space Odyssey is undeniable. Stanley Kubrick wasn't just a perfectionist, he was a visionary. It was designed to be a cinematic experience, literally a vision from the future. This movie was made in 1968, but even by today's standards, it's still a fabulous film that has a lot to say. But what made it special for the time, and what made it such a cinematic experience in the 60s, was that this was a sci-fi film that had never been done before. And what truly a cinematic experience it could have been, to be there in 1968. There is not a single aspect of this movie that was not groundbreaking for the time. But then again, on Letterboxd, this is the top reviewed movie of the entire 1960s. The visual effects conversation is very simple. The movie was made in 68. Humans had not even landed on the moon yet. And yet we get a perfectly painted image, 2 hours of perfection in space cinematography. Everything you see was only in people's imaginations at the time. It wasn't real yet. But today it looks just as real as any of the space footage you see. I mean, even watching it today, acknowledging how old this movie is, I was honestly blown away. To be honest, I don't even know how they did it. I understand they use like light techniques, paintings, miniatures, all that kind of classic techniques, but for the time, that stuff was thought impossible. Kubrick was very focused on the realism, not just how realistic, but how believable everything you saw was. And don't even get me started on the music, bro. This has one of the greatest scores in all of cinema. It's essential to pop culture, it's iconic, and people were barely going to space at the time. It was all about the little details. It was literally just designed to feel like real life, like a documentary. That's how they shot this film. Not to exaggerate, but these effects were decades ahead of their time, and you can really feel that when you're watching the film. Does 2001 hold up today? 100%. It'll hold up in 50 years. I guess my experience watching the movie was that it really did feel like a work of art, something that would be timeless, that would be studied in film school 800 years from now. And I have no doubt that it will be. I haven't even gotten into the story yet, but the first half of this movie is fully a documentary. This was Kubrick's vision for what 2001 would be like. Space travel would be organized 30 years in the future. Obviously, it was impossible to get every single detail right, but the movie definitely feels like something that could have been held in reality. There are some criticisms to 2001, and there's a lot of people who don't appreciate the story like others. Obviously, there's reasons on both sides, there's reasoning, but no one can deny how much of an experience and how much this movie will actually get you discussing and talking about film. I didn't really feel it when I watched the movie, but the impression that this left on me months later, it made me enjoy cinema far more than I did before, because it's such a work of art. The movie's basically divided into 3 acts, kind of 3 completely different periods and settings, and the first 30 minutes, the intro, the time we spend millions of years ago, was really interesting to me. This movie doesn't start like any other movie. It's not trying to explain anything. It's trying to say something while also showing you something. Never has a movie made me think as much as 2001. There's a transition in here that leads into the rest of the movie that's pretty iconic, and it's all about showing evolution. It's all about telling this grand scale of a story. Not even a story. It's that documentary aspect. It's just like showing how we came to what the rest of the movie is about, how we came to the setting of space travel, all that kind of stuff. It's a movie about humanity, about forces of nature, the monolith stuff, and whenever the movie gets deep, it's hard to look away. They transition over to the next act, which at this point I was not sure about the film. I was not sure what I was watching, but the second act very much sets up the grand narrative and exactly what the main characters are going to find in space. It's like teasing and it's setting up, but it does it differently than anything else you've ever seen. Every directive choice that Kubrick makes, every little detail, such as the way people talk to each other and how these people are acting, it's all for grander purpose. It's all for saying something that the movie actively wants you to interpret for yourself. That's what makes it such an experience in your mind. But this is all pretty fascinating, I would say. And then we get to the final hour, the second half of the film, where we're really telling a classic film narrative. We're getting into the blockbuster aspects of this movie, what makes it a movie and not a documentary of a distant future. And I really appreciate how much this movie organizes its time, how much it spends its time in certain places. And you can really feel the confidence, how confident they were in every choice that they were making in the filmmaking perspective. It felt like something of horror. It really felt like existential and terrifying like nothing else. Maybe that's just the space setting part of it, but there was something so cold and scary about the reveals and what exactly happens. A lot of that is credit to the film's villain. I don't know why I'm trying to avoid spoilers here for a movie this old, but HAL 9000, essentially one of the greatest villains in movie history, just so sinister, calm, and such a threat on another level. There is no way that he's not terrifying. And in the space sequences or surrounding the spaceship by Jupiter or Saturn, I forgot what it was, your eyes are going to be glued to the screen. And it makes everything from the first hour, everything from the previous 2 acts that aren't the most entertaining, everything's worth it, and it really says something on a grander level. You come out of this movie, and once you think and look more into what you just watched, I'd say you would come out of this film very satisfied. And that's kind of my review. It's a film that will leave an impression. You could be saying it was decent after you finish it, and then a year later call it one of the greatest of all time. But that's just my thoughts. That's just what I think. I wouldn't even say this is one of my favorite films. It's just a film that I love to talk about. And it's something that obviously changed cinema forever. It's a part of sci-fi. It's literally responsible for stuff like Star Wars and Interstellar. And yeah, I highly recommend 2001 Space Odyssey to everyone. And yeah, with that, I guess I'll catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you around.